Hi everyone, my name is Ruth. I just left Venus and I'm here to share the lessons that I've learned from inner space to help us all remember who we are. And today I want to talk about my relationship with psilocybin and cannabis and the 5 biggest lessons that I've taken away from those experiences. But first, disclaimer, I'm not advocating for any illicit drug use. So yeah, just to get that out the way. So let's dive in. Context. I am a recovering type A personality. I needed control over all facets of my life. So me and cannabis, psychedelics, they don't mix. But you know, a lot of college students, I dabbled in cannabis recreationally and throughout my 20s. And I was just like, okay, this is it, whatever. I don't really have any desire to take any harder substances. Like maybe I'll take a psychedelic when I'm an old lady on my deathbed and like nothing else could happen. Like if I broke my brain, like whatever, like I'll die anyway. So that was my thought process until recently, like a couple years ago. And during that time, I was experimenting with weed edibles. So like edibles have like a much higher THC content. I just like my experience with them is that like I had much more potent trips on edibles. And it was one early evening, I was by myself and I was just like, whatever, let me just take an edible, like half an edible, half the standard dosage. And I took it with no expectations. And the only way I could describe it, that was like the start of my spiritual awakening. That's the closest thing I could say. But in that moment, I was shown a vision, an activation that really conveyed to me what eternity meant, what the present moment meant, what this eternal dance of time really is. All of that huge spiritual truth was conveyed to me. It was like encoded in this picture, in this, I don't even know, moving image. I don't know. And like as you can see, like words fail to describe these liminal psychedelic experiences. I'm just doing an injustice to it, but just know that I truly do believe deep down in my soul that I was meant to see that at that exact moment for my soul's evolution. So like even though I'd taken a low dose of THC of cannabis, like that further underscores to me like how fated that trip was. Like it was going to happen no matter what, no matter if I had taken like a small dose versus a heroic dose. And yeah, that just opened the floodgates for me. I was like, okay, I'm a little bit more open to exploring drug land. Like before, the door to drug land was completely shut. When I say drug land, I mean like psychedelics, not any of those other ones like opiates or whatever. But yeah, the door to psychedelics was shut before my fated encounter on that half a weed gummy. But now the door was cracked open and I kind of like peered in and I saw that mushrooms were like, hey, come play with us. And yeah, so that's the context. And before I dive into the 5 lessons that I've learned, I want to convey a message. I really do believe that mushrooms, cannabis, psychedelics, they show you the way, but they're not the final destination. And we need to add a little bit of nuance to our relationship with these plants because they're not going to save us. They're not the end all be all. They're not the magic pill to help you fix your life. They show you a way into yourself so that next time you don't need their help, like you don't need a map. Because zooming out a little bit, the way that I see this experience of life, this earthly incarnation, is for us to know ourselves. It's a journey of self-discovery. How do we react to life's catalysts? How does that affect our soul's evolution, our soul's ascension? Plants, sacred plant intelligence exists to kind of like kickstart that journey. They help us, they help guide us. But at the end of the day, the power lies within us. And Terence McKenna, I think, said that once you get the message, hang up the phone. So implying that once you understand and integrate the messages that these plants have conveyed to you, kind of go on with your life. Don't keep on going back with the expectation of these plants making your life better, because at the end of the day, the responsibility lies with us. So yeah, I just wanted to get that out the way. First lesson that I've learned in my relationship with sacred plants is that plants stimulate the inner healer. So all healing power, all power really lies within us, within our human bodies, these temples, these sacred temples, because we are multidimensional beings. And because we're multidimensional beings, we contain the universe. We contain the stuff that created the Big Bang, that predated the Big Bang. We're all of it. So with that knowledge, why do we believe that we don't have the power to heal ourselves? And for me, the way that I see plants coming into this is that plants stimulate that power. So a lot of times that power lies dormant within us for years, for lifetimes even for some of us. And plants come in at whatever point in our journey and they're like, hey, you can do this, like you have the power, like you're much more powerful than you know. One way I think that they do this is, they bring the subconscious, the unconscious, they make the unconscious conscious. So you're forced to come face to face with your demons, with your traumas, stuff that you thought you stuffed in a closet, like tight, and it just brings it all out. Sacred plants really help us make connections and identify patterns between seemingly irrelevant experiences in our lives. Yeah, I just think back to like the anti-drug propaganda that initially scared me from taking psychedelics. I was like, yeah, if you take this, you're going to jump out of a window. The reason I bring that up is because there's this belief that these plants break your brain or fry your brain so that you'll never be the same again. And I'm here to say they do, but like not in the way that at least I thought. They kind of like rewire, they break they break like hardwired. And okay, I'm saying all this, I'm not a scientist, I'm not a neuroscientist, so I might be using words wrong, so just bear with me. But if you think of your brain as like neural pathways, the Ruth before engaging with sacred plants in like a more spiritual way, my brain was more hardwired, like more in a fixed mindset, like, oh, you're this way, you can't ever transcend these circumstances. But plants came in and they kind of like did their little surgery on my brain. They kind of put this wire there and put that wire there, took out that wire, and it's like a whole new, more flexible, more plastic network is the way that I describe it. Yeah, I just am able to see patterns more clearly, not just in my own life, but like in other facets. So I totally agree, like drugs, psychedelics, they fry your brain. But I will add that they fry and break your brain, ... for the better. The second lesson that I've learned from my relationship with psilocybin and cannabis is to ride the waves, ride the currents. That's all you can do, surrendering. And this is a pretty good metaphor for life. Go with the flow. To resist is to suffer. When you are on these mind-altering substances, when you engage with these sacred plants, you kind of give the reins of your mind to, you hand it over to a spirit that's like external to you. And that's scary, but that's the only way to make the trips not torture. I just kind of go with the flow. If I'm on cannabis and I get close-eyed visuals that remind me of childhood, I kind of take that as a signal that my inner child wants to come out and play. So I let her come out and play, and it's so fun. On the flip side, if I'm trying to be on my sage shit, my spiritual guru shit, I open up my Google Doc. It's entitled High Thoughts, and it's just, I think it's like 33 pages long at this point, but it's just like, I literally just type everything that comes to my mind when I'm in that state, because I feel like it's divine knowledge, and it's all I can do to try to, I guess, to try to translate it into English. And it contains a lot of great knowledge. So thank you, cannabis, thank you. But yeah, I also feel like a little bit of trickster energy from both plants. Like with mushrooms, it's like, when I think that I've gone deep enough, or if I'm at a point in the trip where I'm like, oh my gosh, like, whoa. But like from an unseen corner, it's like kind of like the mushrooms are beckoning, like, we have more to show you. Like a dare, like they're daring me to like come follow them. And because they're nice, because I find them nice, I guess it depends on what frequency I'm on. But for the most part, it's like, yeah, okay, I'll follow you. And they guide me even deeper within myself, and they help me uncover layers that like I thought I didn't even know were there. So there's that kind of energy, that trickster energy with psilocybin. With cannabis, I will say it's like a constant conversation. So even though you're riding the waves, it's like a constant conversation. So I can kind of like shut off the trip, or I can kind of steer the ship a little bit, because sometimes like cannabis wants to beam into me some knowledge that I'm literally like, I am not ready for this. Like I can't, like, cool, it's cool that this knowledge exists, I don't want to deal with it right now. And they're kind of like, okay, we thought you were ready, but at the end of the day they relent. So thank you, cannabis. But as I said, it's a constant, it's a constant feedback mechanism. Like, talk with the plants, ride the waves, but it's also like a constant conversation. Third lesson that I've learned from my relationship with these sacred plants is that you can guide the trip until you can't. So related to this is, you know, setting and dosage are so important for helping to lay the groundwork for how you want the trip to go. But there's only so much you can do, because these plants are living beings. They're intelligent, they're sentient. So if they want to show you some shit, they're gonna show you some shit. Like I said before, like cannabis showed me that life-changing vision of half a gummy. So like I said, like dosage is important until it's not. And yeah, guiding the trip, like you can have your mindset in a certain way, you can have the setting, you can have an amazing ambiance, an amazing space, but they're going to take the wheel. Jesus, take the wheel. They're going to take the wheel and they're going to like kind of like swerve it if they want to do that. And an example, I remember renting out a cabin with my friends for a shroom trip. We were like, this is gonna be so fun. Like, we're gonna be dancing. It's gonna be like amazing. 2 hours later, we're like crying on the couch. I was like dealing with childhood trauma and ancestral shit. And I was like, really? Like, you could do all this shit to kind of set the intention for the trip or set the vibe for the trip. But like I said before, these plants have a mind of their own. They're gonna show you what they need for you to see at that specific moment. And going back to that trip, like, that was also a life-changing trip. I'm still working on unpacking and integrating the lessons that I've learned, but yeah, that's part of embarking on this journey with sacred plants. You have to kind of surrender. We humans have this belief or this picture of control, and control just doesn't matter in higher dimensions where these plants exist. So the ego kind of has to take a back seat, and you have to be okay with that. Fourth lesson. So the fourth and fifth lesson are kind of related. They're talking about the differences that I found between psilocybin and cannabis, because I feel like both plants lead me to the same place, but in different ways. So fourth lesson that I've learned is that psilocybin feels like primordial knowledge. What do I mean by primordial knowledge? It's like knowledge, ancient knowledge that has existed before time. That's the only way I can, it's like ancient, it's like pre-ancient. It just feels so old. I know that mushrooms have been here since the inception of this planet. They hold all the history of this earth. They're like the gatekeepers to humanity's history because they've seen everything. The way that I describe my trips on mushrooms is like sometimes like they feel earthy. I literally feel like I'm the mushroom. That I can feel myself sometimes like I'm in the dirt growing. And it's a really cool experience to feel like you're one with the mushroom that you have ingested, because at the end of the day, we are all one. But overall, I will say the experience with mushrooms is that I just feel pure love. One time during a trip, like everything took on like a pink hue. It was just like the haze of love. I also felt it, like the love felt like so heavy. It felt like gravity, I don't know. It felt like all encompassing. I could feel it, but I could also not feel it. It felt like air, because you can't feel air. It just feels like love. There are trips where I've just cried because I'm like, wow, so much, all this love exists and I just don't feel it. How can I be sad when all this love in the world and the universe exists? Oh gosh, yeah. I love mushrooms for showing me that, for helping me tap into that frequency, that feeling of love. And when it comes to doing like deep inner work, for me, psilocybin helps me find the answers, or helps me work through things through feeling, through experiencing. So during one trip, a lot of family stuff came up, and it felt like I could feel the emotions and experiences and traumas and stories and beliefs of like not only my parents, but their parents and their parents, until like I could trace it all the way back to the beginning of time. And I felt it. And this is where I love words, but words can't come close to describing these trips. But the closest word I can use is just feeling, but it's a deep feeling. It's like more than feeling, it's experiencing. It's like I experienced everything, but all within this moment. They were just like an instant. I'm trying to describe it, but it's like a fool's errand. You can't. I hope I came close to describing like a sliver of the truth. So psilocybin, for me, I associated with a deep feeling, a deep experiencing. Whereas, and this takes me to the fifth lesson that I've learned from my relationship with these sacred plants, is that cannabis feels like alien knowledge. Cannabis feels like a higher dimension. It feels like otherworldly knowledge. And okay, so bear with me here, but this is the best way that I can describe it. When I'm on cannabis, when I'm off an edible, when it starts to kick in, and when I know it's kicking in, I feel like I am on the magic school bus. Yes, I said the magic school bus. Yeah, I'm on the magic school bus. Yeah, that one. I feel like I'm literally on that bus. It can't be any other bus. It's that bus. And I'm just like, it's just lifting me up, 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 until I've reached this place, this plane. Okay, I've reached this plane of stillness, and I literally feel as if everybody else is there. It feels like all of humanity is there, at least the people who are tapped in. And it's everybody there is just chilling, and they're just hey, what's up? Hey, welcome back. Yo, they're just chilling. And meanwhile, I'm just yo, what? So I'm on this plane, and slowly a library emerges. Not like a physical library, but it's when I'm in that plane, all the answers just come to me. So even before I formulated the question, the answer is already downloaded into my consciousness. The best way I can describe it is when I'm on my Google Docs, my High Thoughts Google Doc, I'm typing my downloads, but my consciousness is it's on a delay, because what I'm typing is ahead of my consciousness. So I'm what the who typed that? Wait, what? And the only thing I could chalk this up to, just your experience of time is drastically altered at that state. So it's who knows what a delay is? Was it even a delay? Was it a lag? No, everything exists in this present moment. So let's stop. Because I'm in this higher plane of existence where everybody's just chilling, I'm able to look down on my life, on my 3D life, with a much more objective lens, and kind of remove the emotion from it. Yeah, you went through that breakup. Yeah, it was sad, but you're alive and you learned a lot. I really wish I could take that way of living into this 3D reality, because what's wrong with me? I wish I could be with that person forever. But when I'm on cannabis, it's yeah, it happened. Shrug. And I wouldn't say it's a numbing thing. I mean, you could engage with cannabis in that way, but the way that I engage with it is for inner work, and I'm able to take an objective view on the more painful aspects of my experience on this earthly plane. And because I'm literally in a different dimension looking down. Just to wrap up, psilocybin feels to me like love, and cannabis to me feels like oneness. And of course, these are not mutually exclusive. I could even argue that these two forces, love and oneness, are one and the same, but I could make a whole ass book about that, and I won't do that. But either way, I feel the intelligence of both plants, of both psilocybin and cannabis, are needed for me at different points in my journey. I just trust that they'll be able to give me the knowledge that I need as I continue on this earthly journey. Those are the 5 lessons that I have learned from my relationship with these sacred plants. I really do believe that they are sacred. If you treat them with respect, the respect that they deserve, that they command, they will bestow upon you gifts that will last a lifetime. That's my thing. And if you're scared about venturing into drug land, that is my only those are my words of guidance. Just treat them with respect. And yeah, I really do believe that they are here to help with humanity's ascension, with humanity's continued evolution. They're little cheat codes, maybe you could say, or little like jump starts to our neural networks to kind of rewire and see things in a different, more holistic way. But yeah, the war on drugs is a war on consciousness. How you gonna outlaw things that grow from the ground? I'll just say that, and I'll leave you with that to ponder. But yeah, I love you all for watching, and I wish you all a safe trip. You can interpret that whatever way you want, but I wish you all a safe trip on this earth, a safe trip on your sacred plant of choice. Yeah, we're all just trying to make it out of here alive and with love. So yeah, thank you so much for watching. I love you for watching, and I will talk to you soon. Bye.